Look at your last purchase order for beauty instruments. Find the material specification line. It probably says stainless steel. That tells you almost nothing. Stainless steel is a category, not a specification. There are dozens of grades within that category, and the difference between them determines whether your instruments last 500 professional uses or 5,000, whether they corrode in a salon environment or resist it, whether the edge holds for 6 months or 6 weeks. In this video, I am going to break down every steel grade relevant to precision beauty instruments, what each one means, where it should be used, and how to verify what your supplier is actually using. Because most of them will not tell you unless you know to ask. 420 grade stainless steel is the professional benchmark for beauty instruments. And when I say benchmark, I mean it is the minimum acceptable specification, not a premium claim. Here is the chemistry. 420 grade contains a minimum of 12% chromium, which gives it corrosion resistance in liquid and chemical environments. Exactly what salon and professional beauty use involves. The carbon content is typically between 0.15 and 0.40%, which provides the hardness needed for edge retention and spring performance. What this means in practice, a 420 grade tweezer tip will maintain its alignment through thousands of professional uses. A 420 grade nail nipper will resist the chemical exposure of cuticle oils, disinfectants, and acetone. The surface finish, whether mirror, satin, or matte, will hold without staining or pitting under normal professional conditions. This is the minimum grade we specify at Aaron Precision Pro for all beauty instrument orders. Not because it is the only option, but because anything below it is not appropriate for professional use. And we verify it against a MIL certificate on every order, which I will explain in a few minutes. 440 grade stainless steel, and specifically the 440C variant, is where you go when edge retention is the primary performance requirement. The carbon content in 440C is significantly higher, up to 1.20% versus 0.40% in 420 grade. That higher carbon content enables a harder, sharper edge and substantially better wear resistance under repeated cutting use. The application, 440C, is the appropriate specification for cutting instruments. Professional scissors, eyebrow scissors, nail scissors, cuticle scissors, precision nail nippers, where blade edge durability directly affects professional performance, any instrument where sharpness is the primary functional requirement. The trade-off, and this is important for your sourcing decisions, 440C is harder to manufacture correctly. It requires more precise heat treatment to achieve the right hardness without becoming brittle. A 440C instrument that has been incorrectly heat treated will be harder than expected, but will chip or crack under use. This is why lower-cost suppliers default to 420, even for cutting instruments. 440C demands more controlled production. If your current supplier is describing all their instruments as 420 grade, including scissors and precision nippers, ask why. 440 grade for cutting instruments is not a luxury specification. It is the correct one. Surgical grade is a descriptor, not a specific steel grade, and this distinction matters enormously when you are evaluating supplier claims. In practice, surgical grade refers to instruments manufactured to surgical instrument standards. That typically means instruments made from 420 grade or 316L stainless steel with tighter dimensional tolerances than standard beauty instruments, smoother surface finishes to prevent bacterial adhesion, and higher corrosion resistance specifications for autoclave sterilization compatibility. For beauty brands, surgical adjacent instruments, dressing forceps, ingrown nail tools, wound care instruments should meet surgical grade manufacturing standards even if they are not classified as regulated medical devices. The tolerance requirements are essentially the same. The red flag. A supplier who describes their standard beauty tweezers as surgical grade, without providing specifications or certification, is using the term as marketing language. Ask them what specific standard they are measuring against. Ask for documentation. A claim without a document is a marketing statement. Here is how you verify what steel grade your supplier is actually using. You request a MIL certificate. A MIL certificate, also called a Material Test Report, or MTR, is a document produced by the steel manufacturer for every batch of steel they produce. It contains the exact chemical composition of that batch, the chromium percentage, the carbon content, the manganese and silicon levels, and the mechanical properties including hardness and tensile strength. When your manufacturer buys steel to produce your instruments, that certificate travels with the material from the mill. When your supplier claims they use 420 grade stainless steel, the mill certificate is how they prove it. Without a mill certificate, the grade claim is unverified. You are trusting that the distributor who sold the steel to the manufacturer was honest about what they supplied. In some supply chains, particularly where steel passes through multiple intermediaries, that chain of trust is exactly where grade misrepresentation occurs. What to ask for? A mill certificate from the steel supplier used for your specific order, not a general capability statement. A certificate for your batch. It should show the steel producer's name, the batch number, the full chemical composition breakdown, and the mechanical properties. We include the mill certificate with every Aaron Precision Pro order as a standard document, not because clients ask for it, because it is part of what documentation means. Before you place your next order with any precision instrument supplier, ask these 3 questions. Question 1. What specific steel grade do you use for this product? Not stainless steel. The grade number. If they cannot name a specific grade, they either do not know or they are using whatever steel is cheapest that week. Question 2. Can you provide the mill certificate from your steel supplier for our order? If they say they can provide it in general but not for your specific order, that means they do not have documented traceability on their material. That is a problem. Question 3. What is your documented hardness specification for finished instruments? Hardness, measured on the Rockwell scale, is the quality metric that confirms the steel was heat-treated correctly after forming. A 420 grade instrument should measure in the HRC 50 to 55 range. If your supplier cannot tell you this number, the heat treatment process is not being verified. These 3 questions cost nothing to ask. The answers, or the inability to answer them, will tell you exactly what kind of operation you are working with. Quick summary. 420 grade, minimum professional specification for beauty instruments. Verify with mill certificate. 440 grade, correct specification for cutting instruments, scissors, and precision nippers. Surgical grade, a standards descriptor, not a grade. Ask for the specific standard they are measuring against. The mill certificate is your primary verification document. If your supplier cannot provide it, you do not know what your instruments are made from. In the next video, we are covering the complete nail instrument guide, jaw types, spring tension, dimensional tolerances, everything you need to specify a professional nail instrument line. Link is in the description. If you found this useful, subscribe. We publish practical sourcing education every week. Download our complete sourcing checklist at aran-pro.com. Link in the description.